In this module, you will learn about provisional balloting. This module is designed to supplement the training you receive from your local county election officials. The Department of State encourages you to attend the poll worker training offered by your county before every election. Provisional ballots are used when election officials need more time to determine a person's eligibility to vote. These ballots record the voters' selections while the County Board of Elections determines if it can be counted. This ensures that potentially eligible voters are not prevented from voting. To comply with the law, election officials must understand that anyone who arrives in a polling location to vote, but is not eligible to receive a regular ballot, is to be offered a provisional ballot, and anyone who requests a provisional ballot is to receive one. Provisional ballots are not counted at the polling location, but are securely transported back to the county for further review. County election officials review the relevant information and determine if the ballot can be counted. Let's review the reasons why provisional ballots are issued. If a voter's name does not appear in the poll book, the voter could be in an incorrect polling place or they may not be registered to vote. If they are unable to travel to their assigned polling location or believe they are entitled to vote at the voting district where you are working, they can complete a provisional ballot. County officials check that the voter is registered to vote in their county and has not cast a ballot by any other means before determining whether or not the provisional ballot can be counted. Because the candidates that appear on your ballot are based on what district you live in, the county officials may decide to count the votes for some, all, or none of the races selected on the provisional ballot, depending on the candidates available in the district where the voter is supposed to vote. As a poll worker, your job is to provide the voter with a provisional ballot for the district where you are serving. If the poll book indicates that the voter is required to show ID, but they are unable to produce ID, they can only complete a provisional ballot. County election officials will follow up with the voter to verify their ID prior to counting their ballot. If the poll book indicates that the voter is required to remit their absentee or mail-in ballot, but the voter does not have the ballot and envelopes to remit, they can only complete a provisional ballot. County officials will check that the voter has not cast a ballot by any other means before determining whether or not the provisional ballot can be counted. If the voter brings in their absentee or mail-in ballot and the envelope with the voter's declaration on it to the polling place, poll workers should void those materials, provide the elector's declaration to surrender a mail ballot, and proceed with the check-in process, allowing them to vote on the equipment in the polling place. Your county should provide you with the elector's declaration to surrender a mail ballot form and a place to store any ballots and envelopes that the voters provide. If a voter presents a court order indicating that they are eligible to vote, they can only cast a provisional ballot. If a court order is issued to extend the hours polling places are open, poll workers may only issue provisional ballots during the extended hours. If the voter was in line before normal polling hours end, meaning in line before 8 p.m., they do not need to vote a provisional ballot. County officials will ensure that the court order is not challenged or appealed before their provisional ballot can be counted. If the voter's eligibility was successfully challenged by an election official or poll watcher, the voter is entitled to complete a provisional ballot. County officials will take additional actions to either uphold or reject the challenge. These actions will vary based on the nature of the challenge. During a primary election, poll workers may also issue a provisional ballot if the voter believes they are registered in one party, but the poll book indicates otherwise. County officials will verify the voter's registered party before the ballot can be counted. If a voter requests a provisional ballot for any reason, they should receive one. Any voter who encounters an issue checking into the polling place should be offered a provisional ballot. Since the eligibility of a voter using a provisional ballot is yet to be determined, these voters should not sign the poll book or be added to the numbered list of voters. Signing the poll book would indicate that the voters successfully cast their vote using the equipment in the polling place, which would cause their provisional ballot to be rejected. To issue a provisional ballot, poll workers should gather the following materials: the provisional ballot envelope, the provisional ballot secrecy envelope, the provisional ballot itself, and a provisional ballot receipt. The large outer envelope contains a number of sections for the voter and poll workers to complete. The first 3 sections should be completed by the voter and witnessed by the judge of election and the minority inspector. First, the voter should complete section 1, taking care to write their date of birth and not the date of election on the second line. Next, the voter must complete section 2 with their address, municipality, and county. They must also sign this section, indicating that the information they have provided is correct and that they have not cast another ballot in this election. Section 3 asks for the voter's current address. This section only needs to be completed if their current address is different than their registered address. At this point, the voter should be issued the provisional ballot and secrecy envelope and directed to a voting booth. The provisional ballot will be clearly labeled as a provisional ballot. It is important to provide them with a provisional ballot and not a regular ballot for reporting and reconciliation purposes. Once the voter has made their selections, they must enclose their ballot into the secrecy envelope and signal to the poll worker that they are ready for the next step. Now they can complete section 4 of the envelope, signing again to declare that they are a properly registered voter and are eligible to vote in this election district. Remind them to write today's date and not their birth date on the date line in this section. This should also be witnessed by the judge of election and minority inspector. Then the voter can insert the secrecy envelope containing the ballot into the larger outer envelope and seal it. The judge of election will then select the appropriate reason for issuing the provisional ballot from the list, sign their name, and write today's date. The minority inspector must also sign and write today's date in this section. Next, remove the barcode from the provisional ballot receipt and affix it to the envelope. The voter will receive the other half of the receipt, which contains the same numeric combination as the barcode and instructions on how to check the status of their provisional ballot. Store the provisional ballot in the container specified by your county officials to ensure they are able to locate them efficiently on election night. If a voter believes that they should be allowed to vote a regular ballot, tell the voter that voting a provisional ballot is the only way for them to vote at the polling place. You might suggest that voting by provisional ballot is a better alternative than not voting. If they are concerned that the provisional ballot will not be counted, they should contact their county board of elections as soon as possible after Election Day so that they can state their objections before the board of elections decides whether or not to count their ballot. Provisional voting is a fail-safe method of voting for when issues arise at the polling place. This process preserves their vote until those issues can be resolved. When these situations arise, allow the voter to cast a provisional ballot. Follow the steps and recommendations in this training, and you will provide a great service to your neighbors and fellow Pennsylvanians. Thank you for your service as a poll worker. Be sure to check out our other training modules on checking in voters, voters with limited English proficiency, and voters with disabilities.